رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين. Today inshallah we will be doing Surah al-Baqarah starting from ayat number 60. We're still talking about the Bani Israel, the Jews, and these were the stories told to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or more like details told to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his time in Medina. And also for the Muslims of the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the people under discussion are the people from the time of Prophet Musa alaihi salam. Just keep this perspective in mind that this is also for the Jews who were in Medina, who were creating challenge for Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to preach Islam, and people who were mushrikeen, who were already in Makkah and Medina, they used to look up to the Jewish scholars and they were really inspired by them. So they were going to follow whatever the Jewish scholars would say about this. And then if they would give a hard time, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending all these for two reasons. One, to let the Jews, the Bani Israel of those times, of the times of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given them honor, Allah had given them blessings, Allah had given them forgiveness and all opportunities and profits and everything, that they could be a very good nation and very, very successful as Muslims. But they denied and showed ingratitude, and they were actually really bad to the prophets. And the second reason was for the Muslims of the time of Prophet Muhammad, and then since there on to us, all the Muslims, to see what we should not be doing. Because there's one of the hadiths of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes that my ummah is going to follow the Bani Israel, the Yahud, the Jews, step by step in whatever they did. And we can see many of these things, because when we read the stories, we see, oh, what kind of immature people would do that? Why did they do this? This is so rude. I mean, this is like completely basic mannerisms, but this is how we react towards Islam. So many things like not being grateful, many things like mistreating our relatives, mistreating the Islamic scholars or the books or people who are following Islam, making fun of them or creating difficulties for them, or not like agreeing with them, having a propaganda against them. In our daily life, being stubborn and following what our nafs want, what we like to do, all these things, we can see that we are also actually following their footsteps. And may Allah protect us from doing that and give us guidance from Quran. Let's start with ayat number 60. Wa and is when. Wa is and remember when is this tasqa. The root is sin khafiya, which means drink, also thirst or drink. So when asked for water, Musa alayhi salam. So when the story is that they were thirsty, they got thirsty and they told Musa alayhi salam, oh Musa, ask your Rabb to give us some water, we are really thirsty. And then Musa alayhi salam made dua just like he used to, and they used to order and demand like that. So when Prophet Musa alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, prayed to give them something to drink for their thirst, liqawmihi, for his qawm, for his nation. For then qul na, said we. Qul na, the root is qaf wa lam and it ends in na, which means we. We told him idrib, dadraba, which means strike, bi asaka, your asa, ka means your. Asa is the staff, so strike your staff, al-hajar. Hajar means the rock. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to strike the rock with his staff. So then fan fajarat. Fajar means gushed. In the morning also, fajr means something that breaks. So fan fajarat, so it broke or gushed, minhu, from it, isnata ashra. Isnata ashra means 12. Because remember, there were 12 tribes, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted each of them to have their own stream or their own outlet of water, aina, streams. What happened was that when Musa salam prayed for drink for his nation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to strike the rock with his staff, and then the water gushed out in 12 different springs. So there's two opinions. One is that there was a rock which, when it was struck with his staff, it would give out 12 different springs. So each each tribe would know, as this ayat goes ahead and says that each tribe would know which one was there. So there would be no fight among the tribes. So according to that opinion, this rock had to be carried, and then whenever they would get thirsty, this is like, a big giant cooler or something. Another thing that makes more sense is that maybe there were springs like, along their path, and they had access to water all along from this one strike only. Qad, indeed, alima, knowledge, kullu, every, unasin, people, knows. Okay, so they had knowledge, each tribe, everyone, all people had the knowledge, mashrabahum, sheen raba, drink, of their drinking place. So everyone knew which is their drinking, which spring they had to go to, which is for their tribe. So there is no fight or problems within them, because these are really unruly people. Kulu, hamza kaf lam, akal, means eat, washrabu, and you all eat and you all drink, mir rizqillahi, from the risk or provisions that are given by Allah. Wala, and not, ta'athaw. Ta'athaw, ain thawa, means to corrupt it, to do not corrupt, fil ardi, on the earth, mufsideen, like mufsid, like the people who are fasid, like the corruptors. Fa, seen, dal, just like I said fa, jim, ra in the word fan, fajarat, fajar, fasad, fisk. All these fa words have something like which break, like fatar. So everything has something to do with breaking of the dawn, or breaking of the fast, or breaking of the rules. Okay, so why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell them that they should not corrupt on the earth, as long as they're eating and drinking? As I mentioned earlier, for eating as well, they were storing those birds when they were told not to, because they would rot and create diseases and all the other problems. But these people were like, even if they were given very specific instructions, they would try to mischief here and there. About the water also, they were given specifically 12 different springs, so they would not fight, but they were told not to waste water. So we see that the idea of water pollution is not a modern one. It is from our religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us not to waste water, even if we have lots of it, even if there is a spring. It is according to the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that even if you have a whole stream going in front of you, do not waste water. So we have to respect water. And food for Muslims are not just commodities, like not just anything that could be thrown or that could be taken non-seriously. There is also some respect attached to it. We understand that these are actually blessings and provisions by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, we're supposed to be gentle with everything as well, like with the inanimate objects as well, but especially water and food, we are told very clearly that we do not use it in a correct way. Then the next ayat number 61, is wa, and is when, and remember when. Qultum, you said. Okay, kulna is we said, qultum is you said. Ya, oh Musa. Let me give you some context. In this ayat, they're going to be complaining that we are sick and tired of eating this man and salwa. We want to go back to our own foods, and we are missing our vegetables and this and that, all those names that they will mention here, like cucumbers and lentils and all those things. And Musa alayhi salam will tell them that if when you reach the city that you're supposed to reach, then you will be able to plant your crops and eat. This is just temporary, where you have to be cooperative, and this is a blessing from Allah, so you can cover your distance quickly and you do not have to worry about food. Wa, and is when. Remember when. Qultum, you said, the nation said, Ya Musa, O Musa, lan. So la and lan, the difference is la means not, lan means definitely not at all. Nasbir, we will do sabr, we will have patience. Ala, upon, ta'amin, the food, wahidin, one, the same food every day. We are not going to like it. Fad'u, so, id'u, dal ain waw, make dua, lana, for us. Rabbaka, from your Rabb. Do you see the language? How disrespectful these people were. So make dua from your Rabb for us. Yukhrij, akhraj, lana, for us, grow for us, mimma, min ma, from that. Tumbitul earth. Noon bata means the growth of the earth. Nabatat in Urdu. We want the crops of earth, arda, min, from baqliha, from its baqliha. from its herbs. Okay, baqal. Wa and kithaiha. Kithaiha are cucumbers. Wa and fumiha. Fumiha are garlic. Wa and adasiha. Adas is lentil. Wa basoliha and onions. So they said that we want, make dua to your Lord that we want some herbs and cucumbers and garlic and lentils and onions. We are missing those things. Qala. Now Musa alayhi salam he was sick and tired of his nation, but he was a prophet, so he had a lot more patience and stamina to deal with them. But of course, everyone's patience starts running out, and he was amazed at how these people can reject something that Allah has given them, especially for the circumstances, and how they are demanding these things. And he said to them, Qala, he said, are tastabdiluna. Ba dal lam is the root, means badal, means change. Are you wanting to change allazi, those huwa, things, adna. Adna means which are cheaper, billazi, than those huwa, which are khairun, which are better. So will you want to exchange that which is better for that which is worse? How was these things worse? Because man and salwa were chosen by Allah for the specific circumstances that they were in, and something that is given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're not supposed to reject it like that. Even if at the time of eating food we do not like it, like if our mom makes vegetables and foods that we are not really fond of, we are not supposed to reject it like that. We're supposed to eat. Even Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if he would not like something that was presented to him, he would just eat something else. He would not say bad things about that food. So he tells them, are you going to exchange? Are you really, do you want that? Ihbitu, go down, Misran, to the city, for then inna lakum ma sa'altum. Inna, indeed, lakum, for you, ma, what, sa'altum, seen hamza alam, you are asking. So he tells them that you, when you enter the cities, you will have whatever you're asking for. You can go and grow everything, and you will have access to basically everything. Wa and duribat. Dwadraba also means strike. Okay. Alayhim, upon them. What struck upon them? Adillatu wal maskanatu wa ba'u bighadabim min Allah. So what struck them as soon as they were about to enter the city? The humiliation and problems. And maskana, ghadab is anger, and zillat is humiliation. Maskana is poverty, meaning like they were homeless. And why did this happen? As soon as they were about to enter the city, what happened was, when they were about to enter Palestine, when they reached there, Prophet Musa alayhi salam sent two of the good Muslims, Yusha bin Nun and one other of the people from one of their tribes. He told them to go inside and survey what is happening inside the city and whether they can enter safely or not. When they went there and came out, and they reported to the Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and the people were hearing, they told Musa alayhi salam that the people inside are very strong and they are bigger and taller than us, and we will need to fight for getting our city back. However, with Allah, and they actually said that however, with the help of Allah, we are very sure we can do this. We will be able to win the war. But the people, when they heard that, they said, oh, we are not going to go in. Musa, how about you and your Lord go and fight with those people? We are sitting here waiting, and when you are done fighting with them, just tell us and we will come inside. So this, because of this attitude, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that when they were about to enter, وَدُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الزِّلَّةَ, they were struck with zillat, wal maskana, and maskan, miskeen, they were made miskeen, wa ba'u, and bad, bighadabim min Allah, they got the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Zalika, this, bi annahum, because of what? Kanu, they were yakfuruna bi ayatillahi, because they were doing kufr. They were denying the ayat of Allah. This is how they came to deserve Allah's wrath, because they disbelieved in the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what else did they do? وَيَقْتُلُونَ, and they did the qatl. They killed an-nabiyina, many prophets. بغير الحق, without any reason, unjustly. They killed many prophets. This was after that. So when they refused to go inside the city and fight those people, which was going to be a guaranteed win, and they had all the signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they will be given help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they refused. That they said, okay, you and your God can fight and we'll sit here. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished them by making them stay out of that city for 40 years, and they were lost in that desert for 40 years. Why 40 years? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to skip the whole generation, so when the next generation will be bold and strong and will have more better values. So what used to happen was that these people, when they would walk in the morning towards the city, because they had not yet reached the city, towards the city, they would, in the end, if they would set up their tents to sleep, they would wake up in the exact same spot. This happened for 40 years, and they had to eat the man and salwa for 40 more years because of their maskana and zilla and wrath from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And during these 40 years, Musa alayhi salam passed away, and next generation, after 40 years, when they actually did enter under the leadership of Yusha bin Nun, then there were many prophets that came between Musa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam, and then Zakaria alayhi salam, and these people murdered many of the prophets. There were many prophets that were sent to the Bani Israel, and they treated them really badly. Some of them they would throw out of the city, some of them they would murder, some of them they would treat so badly. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that they were really, their values did not, their style did not change, their attitude, their misbehavior did not change, and they kept on having one after the other. They would keep getting the maskana, they would keep getting thrown away their statuses because of different kinds of kings that would come and rule over them, and they were treated badly because of their attitude and not following Allah's ayat properly. Zalika bi annahum kanu yakfuruna bi ayatillahi. This is because they were doing kufr of Allah's ayat. Wa yaqtuluna an-nabiyina bighayri al-haq, and for qatl, for the murder of the prophets without any reason. Zalika, this, bima asaw, because of their disobedience. Wakanu, and they were ya'tadun, they were ain dal waw, they were exceeding the limits, crossing the line is ya'tadun. Then the next ayat is innal lazina amanu, indeed those who believe. On the other hand, wal lazina, and those hadu, who are Jews, one Nasara, and those are Christians, was Sabi'ina, and Sabi'in. I'll explain who Sabi'in are. Man amana billahi, those who believe in Allah, wal yawmil akhiri, and on the day of judgment. And what is the third thing, which is most important? Wa amila salihan, and those who are doers of good, meaning they do salih amal, they practice according to their belief. Falahum, for them, ajruhum, there are rewards. Inda, near Rabbihim, with your Rabb, they will get the rewards which are with their Rabb. Wala khawfun alayhim, there will be no fear for them. Wala, and not whom, they will be yahzanun, they will grieve or they will regret. There are 4 kinds of people mentioned in this ayat. Okay, first let me explain them. Innal lazina amanu, meaning that people that we know who are Muslims, right? Islam came as Islam from the time of Adam alayhi salam, but it was the people who changed the names to Jewish, Yahud, and Isai, Christianity. And Sabi'in were the people, there are 3 opinions about them. One is that they were the fire worshippers, another is that they made angels their god, and the third is the nation of Yahya alayhi salam, who came later on to Bani Israel. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that whether those people were labeled in the community of Yahud or Nasara or Sabi'in, but if they were following the Prophet in a rightful manner, if they had the belief if they believe, because the message from the prophets were the same, right? So all the prophets brought the same message, to believe in Allah, to believe in the day of judgment, and to do the righteous deeds. If those people died not in the time, like everyone did not die after Prophet Muhammad, right? There were people who died before that as well. So there were people who followed their prophets exactly the the way that the prophets had preached the religion to them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that those people who died following the Prophet by doing these three things. One, man amana billahi, believing in Allah, and wal yawmil akhiri, on the day of judgment, and wa amila salihan, and they did the righteous deeds. So what is for them? They will all go to Jannah. There are rewards for them. And what else is there? وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. There is not going to be any fear. Like they, maybe in this dunya, they were afraid to come out and tell their community that I don't believe in Jewism. I am not a Jew. I am actually a Muslim. And I'm not a Christian because this is not what Jesus Christ or Isa alayhi salam taught. But in the akhirah, they will have no fear of their community. They will have no social pressure of where they belong, what they are labeled, whatever the name they are put under. They were Muslims because of the three things that they were told to do, and they did, and they will be treated as Muslim, and they will not regret that. Wala hum yahzanun. Hazainun means to regret one's decision. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't just see that, okay, you have to come out because there were people, they must be like very weak amongst their people, or they were doing the right things, but they were just put in that packet of being Jewish or Sabi'in or Christians. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not just see the label. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the intentions, knows our seerah, knows what our character is, and knows what we are trying to do. In the same way, this shows us that it is our intentions and our actions that matter. There is also a hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam related to this. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, verily Allah does not look at your outward form, or meaning your appearance, and He does not look at your wealth. So Allah does not care about what you look like and how much money you have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at your hearts and your deeds, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at your intentions, what you are wanting to do, and how you're being in deen, what your plan is, and what you actually implement, what are your actions. And from this we understand that many people who are trying to follow deen, but if there is genuine reason for, I'm not saying that people who justify using the card of their husband that, oh, my husband doesn't like abaya or hijab or something like that, or if there is any other reason, there's any other kind of persecution or anything, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is in our heart. And if we have all complete intention of doing things the right way, and something doesn't go that way, that it shows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept that cushion for us, that He does not look at our outward appearance or outward form, what we do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cares about our intentions and our thoughts and our actions. Also, why this is mentioned after the disobedience of Bani Israel is also to show that, of course, when we read it as a story, we read what most of the Bani Israel did, that they did shirk, they worshipped the golden calf, they also said that we are not going to come inside and fight, and you go and fight with your Lord and we'll sit here. Other than that, they also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished them to go round and round in that ground, in that desert for 40 years. Like they would just wake up at the exact same spot where they had started their journey previous morning. This is to understand that, of course, there would be many people who were righteous, even in those groups. There were many people who wanted to do the right thing. They were either weak or the number was not big enough that they could speak up, or even if they were following the right religion, they were. Main highlight of the story is how Bani Israel overall as group disobeyed the prophets and mistreated the prophets, did not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Allah deserved to be worshipped. And same is the case with Muslims. We cannot just say, okay, entire country is corrupt or everyone is doing the wrong thing. There are people always, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is very beautiful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not just, put the label on us just because the rest of the people are doing. That is a huge motivation for us to not keep doing the wrong thing just because others are doing, because we should see that it is our own individual test and we are accountable for our own actions. It is not that, oh, we were part of this group, so everyone was doing it, that's why we did it. That will not be usable justification. We will not be able to use that. So let's be very careful and also be happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not just take us as what the entire group is doing or what the entire country is doing or what everyone in that situation did.